Now we are live apparently. Just a quick check. Can you hear and can you see us? Please use the chat actually. That would be amazing in order to confirm. But it should work. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, amazing. Hi, and a warm welcome from my side. My name is Elias Priesching. I'm VP Sales. With me today is Max Steiner. Maybe, Max, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Team Lead Sales DACH. Many of you already know me, I guess, or some of you at least. And yes, happy to talk to you about the topic of submission in Germany today. And also, give you an outlook on other topics, but more on that from Elias.
Amazing. Perfect. So, yes, we are talking today about the so-called Mitteilungspflicht. In English, we call it the submission service, what we provide, and it's basically for automating the POS reporting as a mandatory obligation by the German fiscal law. And Max already gave a little disclaimer. We have a July deadline, which is really important, and we will tell you later why. We still want to use the opportunity to talk a little bit about Fiscally. I think the main message is that we as Fiscally have the mission to become an international fiscalization service provider. At this point of time, we are offering services for Germany, Austria, Spain, and Italy. We will also talk a little bit about that later, but I think it's fair to say that in the markets where we operate, we are leading at least the cloud-based fiscalization, and cloud-based fiscalization or cloud-based compliance services is what we do as our daily business. Let's come to today's agenda. So first, we talk a little bit about the history of the Mitteilungspflicht, the reporting obligations for Germany, where we also outline in detail the deadlines which are behind all of those obligations. Then we talk about the technical parts of how you can automate this kind of obligation with our services for your customers at the end of the day. This is pretty much, we are always striving for, let's say, one-click solutions, which are the most efficient and most cost-saving solutions and processes. Then we talk a little bit about fiscal news, where we talk about Germany, but also beyond Germany. And last but not least, we again have a Q&A session. So please use the opportunity to use the chat, because we will answer all questions at the end of this session or afterwards, depending on how many questions there will be. So talking about the POS reporting obligations for 2025 and the deadlines, Max, the stage is yours.
Perfect. So basically, this month, July 2025, is the month where everything becomes relevant, so to say, especially at the end of the month. So what is scope of the registration? In Germany, it's called EAS. Also, the abbreviation in English is ERS, so basically the electronic record keeping system. Cash registers, taxometers, odometers are scope of this registration duty. And finally, this obligation is here because since 2020, it was part of the law already, but it was postponed due to no electronic way of submitting these reports. So basically, if you have not tackled the topic yet or didn't cover yet, this is the time right now. Also, you have to understand this is kind of the missing piece in the puzzle for tax auditors and also the people from the government that are doing tax audits, because currently it's not really known how many point of sales, if any, are in a specific shop or venue. And therefore, this is really important to know for the tax auditor. How many point of sales do I expect? How many can I audit when I go to a specific shop? Therefore, this is now finally the missing piece in the puzzle in regards to German fiscalization. Perfect. So these are the deadlines once again. Basically, end of July, everything has to be reported that is in use already. If you activate a point of sale within the month of July, you have this deadline or the obligation to submit the change or the new point of sale within 30 days. Basically, from now on, this is always the case. So whenever a change is happening or you activate a new point of sale device, within 30 days, you should submit this to the respective local tax office. Perfect. Here in this slide, we have an interactive part. So this green or turquoise underlined box, you can click on it, get a look at our info sheet where everything is summarized again, what we're talking about now in regards to what is relevant for the reporting. Obviously, as already mentioned, the type of the cash register system, like the model when it was initiated, when it was bought, also the serial number for the point of sale, but also for the TSS. Some other information for the TSS, either you already have a look at our API or at this fact sheet, but it kind of goes logically hand in hand. Also relevant is the date of commissioning or decommissioning, but also any change of information, like if the taxpayer did change, if the address did change, if anything in that regard did change. Keep in mind, all of these changes must be reported within 30 days. Yes, you may also report multiple changes in bulk if it happens within a scope of 30 days.
Amazing. Okay, before we come to the automation and the more technical part of today, Max, you just mentioned that the reporting obligation is the last missing piece, talking about the fiscal obligations and laws in Germany. Could you maybe just give an overview? What are we talking about? What are the obligations?
Of course. So the one obligation is issuing a receipt and basically doing this every time a transaction has been made. The next obligation is to use a TSS or TSE in German to secure your transactions in real time and get a so-called TSS or car export, which is also relevant in case of a tax audit. One more piece or pillar, as we like to call it, is the DSFIN-VK, which is kind of similar to a Z report, a daily closing. I hope all of you are familiar with that already. Then archiving the data. More to come on this a little bit later, just a sneak preview. Then the registration at the local tax office, as Elias mentioned, and that's basically it. So these 5 topics are the most important topics in regards to the Kassensich-V regulation, independent of industry-specific obligations you anyway have to fulfill. But these, are summarized, the 5 pillars, as we like to call them.
Amazing, perfect. And now I will talk a little bit about the technical part on how to automate and make the most efficient solution, talking about the reporting obligations. From a timeline perspective, the reporting would be, from my personal opinion, the first pillar which can be tackled, because if there is a new POS or also an existing POS being activated, deactivated, this information must be sent to the local tax office, which can be done by the Fiscally Submit DE solution, previously Sign DE X Submission API. And why and how? So pretty much as Max already outlined, the reporting obligation was also a part of the Kassensich-V. The law itself, which was published some years ago, but the technical infrastructure in order to make the reportings was missing. At some point, there were the discussions about, paper reports, but the financial authorities decided against it because the overhead would have been amazingly large, and therefore also for us that was a good decision by the financial authorities. But then going down the road, there was a pilot project from certain financial authorities together with us, where we could give feedback. We could also try out the technical solution together with strong partners on our side. And Fiscally was the first company ever making a report to the financial authorities based on the reporting obligations for a POS system, which we are quite proud of. And now we are talking about how you can pretty much make that happen for you and your customers directly and automated. And our solution pretty much offers, again, as said, a fully automated reporting service, which delivers all necessary data directly to the financial authorities. There are no manual steps included in the process, and we are happy to support the integration with different guides, with different documentations and information, but we also talk about that at a later point of time. So pretty much we take over the electronic transmission of the necessary data. At the end of the day, we are talking about huge time and cost savings. So after the initial integration, which we guide you through, there is nothing else to do, because what we always aim for is what we call a one-click solution. So pretty much after the first integration, everything else is automated and can be done by you or your customers directly out of the POS system. So no breaking systems and the most efficient and elegant ways. And lastly, I think I mentioned it to some extent, simple integrations. That's one of the key pillars we apply when we develop new products and services, fully documented guides and a lot of information in order to make the journey as easy and seamless as possible. So what are the benefits? Again, we are talking about automated and error-free data. So we already have certain and necessary checks of the data we get in our solution before we make the official transmission, which makes everything more easier and less prone to errors. Time savings, of course, obviously, after the first integration, nothing else is needed. We also offer real-time status queries for tracking the reports. So pretty much, at all times what's going on, if the transmission, if the reporting to the financial authorities was successful or not. And lastly, but for me, one of the main benefits, we are talking about a future-proof solution. We have been in all important and essential working groups. We are maintaining our communication channels to the financial authorities. We are expecting some changes, but we are expecting ourselves to take care of all upcoming changes, which means for you and your customer, nothing to do actually. And this is one of the key services, because for us, the full fiscalization service portfolio is our daily business. We constantly take care that we can provide the best and most seamless solutions, so that you can have a good night's sleep and are legally compliant. Same accounts for your customers.
Maybe adding really quick on that, because you outlined that we love the topic of fiscalization, and it's our main topic we take care of. I think this is also a benefit, even though it's not listed here, that definitely makes a lot of sense, that our, especially technical support, but our team in general, is getting so many questions in that topic. We learn about so many best practice cases, how other companies deal with it, how topics are currently in discussion also with the Ministry of Finance. And I think this knowledge exchange is a real benefit for you, as it's not always that clear. There's always a little bit room for interpretation, maybe. And specifically speaking to our technical support that has a lot of knowledge and also experience in that regard, is for me personally definitely a key benefit we also can bring to the table here, because this kind of safety or kind of feeling you get when speaking to us definitely can also get out some pressure of this topic, because yes, the deadlines are here to be met, but at the end of the day, everybody's facing the same issues, everybody's facing the same challenges, and that's why the knowledge exchange for me personally is really important.
Yes, amazing. Thanks for the input. Completely true. Perfect. Coming to the more technical integration part, you can find all necessary information in order to integrate the service on developer.fiskaly.com. I think most of our audience has integrated some kind of Fiscally solution anyhow. So you basically know the drill. Again, you find all necessary information, developer.fiskaly.com. And actually, we directly have a link here in an interactive way to our API documentation. Maybe one essential information, you can use our Submit DE service for all Fiscally TSS, but also for non-Fiscally TSS, which are being used. Of course, we are hoping that you only use the Fiscally TSS, but maybe in some kind of location there is another TSS type in place. Still, you can use our services. And lastly, you also see on the picture on the slide our colleague Marlina, who is one of the experts for German fiscalization and also the submission obligation or the reporting obligation. And we have video tutorials on how to integrate our solution in the best, most seamless, and most efficient way, which you can also find on developer.fiskaly.com. Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about fiscalization news. And Max, by the way, how many people can claim that they love fiscalization? I would say not too many.
Luckily, we are, a few of them at least.
You're special. Yes. Okay. So, talking about news, please, stage is yours.
I was teasing it already a little bit. Fiscally now provides an archive. So basically, as this is one of the pillars in Germany, but also every other country where there's fiscalization in place, you have to archive your data. Maybe you already have an archive in use, maybe it's self-built, but maybe you don't. And we really think it's beneficial, as we also get this feedback, to have all of the services needed as a kind of modular system per country. So if you do not have yet an archive system, or if you do have multiple partners to cover these pillars or obligations, it could be maybe really beneficial to have one solution in place, one contact person, and one provider that covers it all. At least this was our thinking process when building and shaping this archiving solution. It can be used in other countries as well. So not only Germany, we did the compliance run through in multiple countries. If you're interested in that, please reach out to the respective contact person you have at Fiscally. But I think this is also a huge milestone and advantage that we can now provide an archive fulfilling the country-specific regulations and have even more benefits speaking for our solution at the end of the day.
Yeah, perfect. So for Germany, talking about archiving, GUPD compliance is essential, which is not the case, for example, in other countries. So again, our archiving solution is an international solution, and for Germany, it is GOBD compliant, which is the essential part talking about compliance. Coming to some beyond border fiscalization news. So we talked about the deadlines and the timelines for the reporting obligation, specifically for Germany, but there are also some really essential timelines at the moment becoming active, talking about other countries. Spain, for example, as we are talking now, there is the full fiscalization obligation becoming active. There has been some kind of fiscalization in Spain in certain areas, but now we are talking about the full Spanish area where fiscalization is becoming active. If you're operating there and don't have a solution, you should take care quite fast. Same or similar for Italy. Italy actually has been or was the first country having fiscalization obligations pretty much based on hardware. This changed in recent months, and now we are talking about cloud-based fiscalization, where Fiscally was one of the first companies, or actually the first one. We don't have official data. Nevertheless, Fiscally within the official certification process needed in order to offer cloud-based fiscalization in Italy, which can be quite game-changing because the existing fiscalization solutions are quite cumbersome and expensive and hardware-based. So we think we have a great offer there. If you're operating in Italy, let us know. And also talking about France, because in France there has been the opportunity for self-certification of the POS. This opportunity will no longer be an option from September onwards, and latest in March next year, there needs to be an official certification. So again, if you're operating in France and don't have a fiscalization solution yet, feel free to reach out. We have a lot of information and a lot of great services in the countries mentioned. Okay.
Perfect. This brings us to another topic. As we are so passionate about fiscalization, we're also so passionate about our customer base. And therefore, we really want to know, besides the countries that we're tackling already, what countries are relevant and interesting to you. So it's Christmas not soon, but you can make a wish already. Maybe in half a year, you will find a present in regards of fiscalization in another country. So this is another interactive part. We would love to know which countries are relevant to you, not only in Europe, but globally. Currently, Europe is kind of our focus, but we are already eyeing to other international markets. So yeah, we're on track to fulfill all of your wishes best as possible.
Amazing. And while doing so, we actually already come to the Q&A session, but maybe we can start with a quite short recap of what we have discussed now. So pretty much from our perspective, the main takeaway is there is a new fiscal obligation upcoming in Germany. Maybe not even upcoming, because as we speak, this is now a new active obligation. So if you haven't taken care, you should now take care quite in a fast way. Let's reach out, let's talk. We think a lot of questions can be answered in direct communication in a meeting. That's always a great opportunity. But now, Max, let's go to the questions we received. And the first one is, how long does it take to integrate your service?
Mm-hmm. So personally, I think it's a really tricky question to give a generic answer on this. But obviously, if you already use Fiscally and have a certain specific structure displayed within our system, this structure can be reused, and this structure basically is the foundation of the submission. What does it mean? The submission requires per location the number of TSS and point of sale that are connected, and this bundle together with some taxpayer information is then reported to the local tax office. Therefore, if you already have that structure in our system, if you already maybe have already done the mapping, like which data is missing from your taxpayer, or regarding information of your point of sale, when was it commissioned, what software model is it, if you have all of these information by hand together with our guide, in my experience, it can be really fast in terms of the integration, but this information beforehand is relevant. Other than that, if you do have also other TSSs that you were or that you want to submit and do this obligation via us, you first and foremost have to display this structure I was mentioning earlier in our system, so we know basically where does what belong, and how shall it be submitted. Also, this can be done in quite a fast manner, I believe. Therefore, it's really hard to give a generic answer, but I believe if the preparation is done properly, the pure implementation efforts on a technical level can be dealt with within a couple of days. But obviously, it might change from industry to industry. So, if in doubt, please feel free to reach out, schedule a meeting, and let's discuss it even more in detail in a personal meeting.
Amazing, perfect, great answer actually. Next question, how high are the costs?
So coming to the costs, I hope everyone is already in contact with the respective contact person at Fiscally. If you have questions regarding costs, but also other topics, I would give here the call to action to reach out directly afterwards or right now in order to schedule a meeting, talk about this right now. And yeah, let's get this done. The deadline is coming closer by the time.
Great. So the next question is, like, did I understand it correctly that I can also report non-fiscally TSSs?
Yes, exactly. So depending if we already have this kind of core information I was talking earlier, it's obviously a little bit easier because we have information about the TSS data. If you use Fiscally, we have information about the organizational structure and some minor information about the respective shop or venue the customer is using. In this case, only little data has to be added to our system to do the obligation. If not, this structure has to be displayed first, and after that, you can easily use our API to also do this submission process for non-fiscally TSS solutions.
Perfect. So last question for the day. What exactly is the serial number which I need to report?
Mhm. So ideally, when speaking about Fiscally setup, again, below, so on a technical level, you create first an organization, a main or managed organization. Within that organization, you will then have one or multiple TSS. And to this one or multiple TSS, one or multiple clients, so cash registers are connected. When you did create this on our system, you already gave a client serial number, and this client serial number should be also the serial number of the cash register that is in use, that is also here then relevant for the registration process. So in a Fiscally context, you already have this information in our system. Nothing else has to be added. If in doubt, please double check if this information is still up to date and is still matching, because also the tax auditor will double check if the information that has been submitted matches the information that he finds locally, if he does a local audit or inspection. So this should be the easiest approach on that. And ideally, you already have everything covered and we have the information already.
Amazing. So, if there's still some open questions, again, as said, we are happy to talk, but then I will keep it short from my side. Thanks for the attention, Frank. Thanks for participation. And Max, please, some last words.
Thanks also for the high engagement and people joining us. All the best, if not done yet in regards to the submission. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if anything is unclear, if you have I don't know, topics regarding the process or workflow or documentation that you just want to have a second opinion on, we're here to help. We're happy to help. And yeah, hope this was valuable and informative to you. Was a pleasure speaking to you, and have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.